Mr. Stork, thank you very much for being with us with CNN Greece. Polls suggest a clear victory for Mrs. Merkel. Which party do you think will be preferred as a government partner by Mrs. Merkel? And according to your opinion, what this choice will imply to the economic policies the Chancellor intends to pursue in Germany and in Europe, I mean within the European framework?
Thank you very much. I think that at the time the polls show us two options for a coalition. It doesn't look like, I mean, it looks like CDU and Angela Merkel will win the elections, but it doesn't look like they would win a majority. So they will be forced to form a coalition. There are two options following the actual polls. One would be a continuation of the grand coalition with the Social Democrats. The other would be a coalition with the Liberals, FDP, and the Greens. So that we call that a Jamaica coalition because the colors of the three sum up to the Jamaican flag. At this stage, no one is promoting the Grand Coalition, the continuation of the Grand Coalition. It's obvious the both big parties are fighting for themselves. It would be lethal for the SPD to promote the continuation of a coalition as a junior partner, obviously. But I think the appetite within the leading politicians of both parties is quite big to continue this coalition. The problem is that the members of the party, particularly of the Social Democrats, are not really eager to authorize that, and they will be asked. There will be a vote of the members. This is an example of what was done last election, and it will be repeated. Martin Schulz already said that. And it very much depends on the result. The better the result is, the stronger the SPD would be in a grand coalition, the higher is the chance that the membership will agree on this grand coalition. If the SPD, well, we are polled right now 23%. If it's this or less, there is a big possibility that the membership will not agree on this and will send the party into opposition to kind of reposition and reorganize. So the Jamaica coalition is definitely more risky for Angela Merkel. Angela Merkel knows her partners in the Social Democracy. They worked very well together in the last 4 years. The FDP was not in the parliament in the last 4 years, so they are quite inexperienced. They don't have the staff and the structures ready to govern. That's what many say about them. And the Greens are quite split about if or if not they should form a coalition with the CDU. There is a wing of more progressive left-wing people, and there is another one of the more realos, as they call it, a bit more conservative. And obviously, the left wing of the party is not agreeing to this idea. So it's more risky. And I think Angela Merkel will definitely, starting on Monday, next Monday, to investigate with the both small parties, if the results are like we predict them, and start talkings with them. But I think the big fallback position would be the Grand Coalition if the membership of the SPD agrees. If it's the Grand Coalition, I don't think there will be major changes in the policies and politics of the German government in European dimensions. Both parties have their European positions as well known. They were shaping this politics in the last years, and I don't think there will be big changes. It's maybe a bit more shaky because the Social Democrats will definitely be more unsecure than they have been in the last term, and in the CDU there is definitely as well a debate about the position of Angela Merkel and her replacement, her future replacement. So there are a couple of more risky trends in this current coalition, but still I don't expect many changes. You ask about economic policy. One factor what is important is as well who will be the person, who will be the finance minister, and I hear that Wolfgang Schäuble has strong ambitions to continue this job, and he is a person who can definitely get this as well. He has a very good standing in Germany. He's very popular as well, and one of the most experienced politicians in the government. Was just turning 75, and he's in parliament, I think, since 40 years or something. If the Jamaica coalition will be the option, we have more difficult partner in the government with the FDP. You probably know that the leader of the FDP, Lindner, was promoting in the past a temporary exit of Greece from the euro, staying within the European Union, but from the euro, and a haircut outside of the monetary union. So I don't think that he will be the person shaping the politics of the next government. I mean, they are junior partner, they are the smaller partner, and I might think that they will maybe as well concentrate more on national issues when they use their negotiation powers, and not maybe on European or foreign affairs issues. But it will be more difficult with the FDP in government on whatever means European economic and finance policies.
Well, in case of that, we have again a grand coalition, a big coalition between the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats. Is it very possible to have as a main opposition party the AfD? So my question is, does this rise of the AfD surprise you, and what do you think this rise is due to?
Yeah, the AfD is the German phenomenon of the European populist movement, and it's comparatively small. The AfD is polled about 10%, less than 10%. They were rising particularly with or during the refugee crisis. They kind of captured this subject and this constellation and were in a very populist way. I mean, they are the populist party, taking advantage of the uncertainty and the worries of the population, particularly in Eastern Germany. And they were gaining a lot of support during this time. What was declining a little bit afterwards, last year, the beginning of this year, because it was clear as well that they have quite a few right-wing radicals among their leadership and among their us anyway. And this is something what in Germany, on the background of our history, is not popular. But still, I mean, there is a lot of discontent in the population. I mean, as you know, Germany is economically doing quite well, so we don't have this complete split and this problematic what maybe have other countries like Britain, for example, what led to the Brexit. So the German population is relatively well off economically. There's almost no unemployment. But okay, it's regional. It's as well. It's divided between East and West. There are structurally unsuccessful areas in Germany where the AfD is quite strong, and they as well take advantage of the fact that the mainstream political parties are very similar in their positions. So, I mean, the impression of what you have as a German voter is that the mainstream parties are all part of the same establishment. There are no options to distinguish and to vote for an alternative within the spectrum of the classical political parties. And if you really want something different, you have to vote for the populists. I mean, it's definitely not a constructive vote of a political option. Most of the voters of the AfD say in polls that they are not really informed about the program, that they're not really interested about the program. It's a vote against the other parties and the political establishment. Mm-hmm. So this is dangerous. It's dangerous because it's a trend. There is definitely, I mean, there are polls about it. There's definitely much more discontent underneath the surface than is really expressed. And these are probably more than 10%. I mean, if they were asked specific questions, you see what are the opinions of the people. I think the big parties, the SPD, the CDU, but as well the small parties, parliamentary parties until now, really have to hear this call and reach out to give these people alternatives. Mm-hmm. Because the vote for populists might rise. That's absolutely a possible trend. The other thing is that we will have in our parliament the AfD, this is almost sure, and there will be 70 or 80 MPs of this party who are definitely pressuring other parties in certain positions. We observed already that the FDP and his chair Lindner are quite repeating populist statements and positions in order to gain votes from the right wing, and this can be something even if the big parties won't cooperate with the AfD in the parliament. But I mean, already the time they have for speeches, etc., they can put a lot of pressure on the others to as well represent these positions, what obviously are there in the population.
Okay. Well, Mr. Stork, thank you very much for being with us with CNN Greece.
Okay, thank you very much, and let's hope the best for the Sunday.